Hi folks, now then, time to take the Royal Enfield Interceptor out for a spin. Been looking forward to this one for a while. Let's get on it. Right, first impressions. The seat height, 805mm I think. Quite low actually, quite easy to get on, which is quite nice. Let's have a look at these switches. Indicator, nice little horn, oh, dual tone horn. Like that, well done. Pass light, run switch, and turn it on switch. There you go, nice quick start. 2 trip meters, trip A, trip B, which is nice, and the overall odometer. I think that's probably it. I've reset trip B, so let's go for a little spin. Oh, very nice to find first gear. No clunk, just a nice little mechanical snick. Oh, I like it already. Just felt a little bit torquey as I just give it a little bit of throttling first. So first little blat up the road, and the bike feels modern, feels nice. Feels like a modern air-cooled motorbike, as opposed to a antiquated air-cooled bike, which the Himalayan felt like. I like the Himalayan a lot, but it does feel like you are riding a time machine. So I'm just getting used to what my feet have to deal with at the bottom here. As I stop the bike and put my left foot down, your calf, your leg, or your boot might accidentally put you into gear at some point. Yeah, I just changed gear with the side of my leg. So as I put my foot down. So that's something to be aware of. Hadn't seen mentioned anywhere else. On the right side, my right boot is actually touching the engine cover on the right side. So maybe some little adhesive protector on that side might be in order. Tell you what though, it does pick up pretty nicely. I'm pretty sure, oh, I was about to say, I'm pretty sure we got 5 gears to play with, but actually it's got 6, which makes it more kind of a longer legged and flexible for bigger distances. Yeah, I do like the fact that it's 6 speed, 70 mile an hour on the clock, is showing 4,500 RPM. So, not too busy, quite in the mid-range. Ooh, front brake's pretty strong as well. Ow, ow, that pinched my finger on the way down. It's a bit brutal. Very easy to get my feet down, notwithstanding the fact that my leg keeps touching the gear lever. I've got both feet flat on the ground with my 32-inch inside leg. I'm glad to report that the quality of the mirror glass is better on the Interceptor than that I found on the Himalayan. Looks decent and normal, as opposed to warped and slightly larger reflections than I'm used to with the Himalayan. Since I was close to a motorway junction, maybe the first thing I'll do is find out what it's like for a little motorway cruise. Oh dear, I don't think I'll even see 70 on this little stretch, so this was a waste of time. Right, I got a chance to give the throttle a good tug here at 60 miles an hour, top gear, 4,000 RPM. Well, I hope I'll be able to. Let's get this Mercedes out of the way. 3, I'll give him a bit more space. 3, 2, 1, tug it. Bit of vibration. Bit of vibration through the seats as it dug deep and started to pull. The acceleration was not mind-blowing, but it pulled perfectly well. It did not feel like it was struggling, it was just getting there in its own time. go, got to an indicated 80 with no bother. Keeping up with the traffic. No serious wind blast problems to speak of. Being a nice naked motorbike. No turbulence. And even in a headwind, I'm sure it could easily hold 80 for as long as you need it to. But I'm coming off here and aiming for the back roads. What's it like around a higher speed bend here on the slip road? That's pretty stable, I think. There's a couple of big humps in that road. But it held on quite nicely. It does seem to be... It's almost as if the chassis is not wobbling. It's just kind of a little unsettled on its tyres. I've got some figuring out to do there. Try and think out about what I'm trying to say. So I'm 5'7" tall. Or not tall. 170 centimetres. With a 32-inch inside leg, as I mentioned earlier. The riding position is a little compact, I would say. It does feel like a small bike. Oh, and it does feel like the seat height's relatively low. It's easy to get on the bike. I'm not saying that my legs are cramped, and there's not even a particularly swept back position for the pegs. It just feels like a smaller bike. Looking down in front of me, it is nice to have a rev counter as well as a speedometer. I like the little LCD display in the speedo, nice and clear. That's because there's not many functions built into it, but what you can see is actually quite easy to read. Nice big fuel gauge there, front and centre. The red line on the rev counter starts at 7.5. One slight blot in the copybook. If you want to adjust the trip meter settings, you've got to press a button between the clocks rather than a button on the switchgear. Speaking of the switchgear, it looks basic, kind of built to a budget, but solid enough as far as I can see. No complaints other than just the general appearance. It's not exactly sophisticated. Having said that, the buttons do have a nice feel to them. They don't feel completely soft like some modern PCB based switchgear sets. I've been thinking about getting a third bike of some description to go along with the Bros and the BMW R1250R. This shouldn't feature in that list because I want a bike with a bit of off-road capability. It's such a shame that there isn't a kind of an 650 Himalayan. That I think would be right up my street. What we got in front of me? Nothing on the other side of the road. 3,000 RPM, about 3,200. Very good. Very nice. Thing is, with 6 speeds, I wasn't quite sure what gear that was in. I think that was third. Yeah, that was third gear. Oh, you stopped. Fortunately, my GoPro Hero 10 keeps stopping. I'm not sure why. So for now, you just got the one camera here on the handlebar. I'll try and do a few more miles, then I'll stop and try and figure out what's going on with this camera. Go on then. Hey, hello. You're between 6,000 and 7,000 RPM. It's got a little bit of a kick up there. Yeah, it's not slowing down at that point. So this bike can certainly keep up with modern traffic and deal with it when necessary, at least in the UK on roads like this. 47 horsepower this bike's rated at. I think it was 7,250 RPM. Can't quite remember the torque output off the top of my head. I'll bang it on the screen. Just realised we're doing several miles at 50 miles an hour in 4th gear. I had 2 more gears to go, so popped it up to 6th. Feels a bit more grown up now, lower revs. Just over 3,000 RPM at 50 miles an hour. And you give it a pull and it responds pretty keenly there as well. Oh, this is a bumpy road, but I think the speed limit's going to change soon. But I'm also finding the suspension quality is good. It's well damped, there's no shocks. Ha, if you pardon the pun. Yeah, it's handling bumpy roads pretty well. Road holding's pretty decent, although I was going around a fairly fast bend at an angle earlier on, and I don't know, it's still hard to describe what I felt then. If I get a chance to kind of get a conclusion together about that behaviour, I'll get back to you. If you're going slowly and you give it a bit of front brake, there's a bit of initial dive on the forks, but there's not a lot of power in the braking, not a lot of feel. And when you're going faster, you don't really get much of that initial little dive, but you still don't slow down very quickly. Back brake, that's actually not doing too bad a job. I'm going to try that again, no behind me. Yeah, it's okay. It slows down. It's not, I felt worse. It's not brilliant, but it's not terrible either. And together, no one behind me. Oh, there you go. Hold on a minute. I think I just discovered something here. Okay, if you give the front brake a real good squeeze, it does finally actually start slowing you down. Yeah, but normal squeezing doesn't slow you down very much. So there is a bit of power in there if you squeeze hard enough. Suspension, while I was at higher speeds there, a little bit jittery, not exactly plush and compliant, a bit of firmness about it, but the bike didn't threaten to get out of shape at all. So it kind of held onto the tarmac well, didn't give me any cause for concern. Quick walk around before I carry on. One handsome looking motorbike here, very good looking bike, better looking than my Honda Bros. Yeah, I think it probably is. Big air-cooled engine, doesn't that look big in the frame? I quite like the size of that engine. Looks beefy, looks like it means business. The twin silencers look nice as well. We have twin shocks and they're preload adjustable, but I don't think we can do anything else with them. We have a centre stand as well as a side stand, which is nice. And here's the gear change. I just think that lever kind of sticks out quite a long way from the engine. This is where my leg can kind of hit it when I put my foot down. Quite a nice looking headlight reflector, so the lights look pretty decent there. Yeah, great looking bike. I am very taken with the styling. This colour scheme, if I get it right, is called Downtown Drag. 6239, I think, including taxes. I'll have to let you know if that's on the road or not. I haven't got the details right in front of my face. But yeah, £6,000 for a brand new middleweight bike. Good price. And although I can't convert this in my head, the service intervals are 10,000 kilometres, which I think is around about maybe 6,200 miles. So 6,000 mile service intervals as well. So I think Royal Enfield and Harris, who kind of put this bike together, should be very proud of the job they've done. I'm really enjoying my time on the bike. Talking of being on the bike, it's time to be back on the bike. Let's find a pothole or a little dip in the road. See what the damping's like. I just found one just next to that curb and it handled that nicely. The actual bump absorption is nice. Here's another one. That was quite a deep one, but it didn't knock me. It just about managed to damp that dip. Does sound nice as well. Oh, I suppose I better slow down and see what throttle response is like. I'm in second gear, 2000 RPM. Let's roll off, roll on, roll off, roll on, roll off, roll on. Nice. No jerkiness. It might get a little worse in first gear. I'll find that out hopefully in a bit, but second gear, very agreeable. Oh, first gear. Nice, yeah, first gear. That seemed to behave well as well, coming off and on the throttle. What can't this bike do? I suppose I've been on the bike for a bit over an hour now, and the seat is just starting to make its presence felt. There's not much in the way of give. It doesn't sink a lot, which is good because it's not very thick. But it feels comfortable enough, and you can move around on it if you need to. And it does feel maybe a little bit thicker as you move backwards, if you don't mind looking like an idiot on the road. Maybe between about 4 and 5, it's just a touch flat. It's hardly even worth mentioning. It's pulling well enough pretty much everywhere that you want it to. They've done a hell of a job for a 47 horsepower motorbike. Ah, okay, interesting. I've been saying a couple of times, I've been trying to work out that the bike seems to, I don't know, seems to shimmy on the tyres. I don't know if I'll be able to demonstrate this, but not saying that I can provoke a full-on steering wobble, but it just seems to be on the edge of instability, as if the tyre pressures are too high. Sorry about the wind. I'll just give it a little push. It seems to be very ready to start wobbling. It calms down as soon as you stop pushing on the bars, or stop oscillating the bars. If I take my hands off the bars and give them a little nudge, that's stable. That is not a problem. Just that when I use my hands just to do this little bit on the bars, it just reacts very quickly. Very quickly. But I think I felt tastes of that potential wobble going over white lines. I knew there was something I had to say about the steering. I knew there was something I couldn't get my head around. And going at that higher speed and giving the handlebars a bit of a tweak. Yeah, that's uncovered something that I don't quite understand. It just reacts unnervingly quickly, as if it's potentially going to get worse. Now, it didn't get worse, but it's just a surprise, a surprising trait in its character. Here we are back in Bybury again. Been a while. I think this bike suits this little village right down to the ground. Dare I say it, but this bike feels like a Honda. Don't get your pitchforks out. I'm not saying it's bland, I'm saying it's well put together. It feels like a good bike. It feels like it would be a good purchase. Handlebars. I was going to say I would maybe like them a bit wider, but no, actually they look good, and I'm actually happy with the span. I'm happy with the position, they're not too far away. If you didn't like the position, you can kind of roll them back and forth in the clamps, or replace them with a different set, subject to cable lengths. So yeah, it's not all so tightly integrated that you can't change things. Yeah, just there, you saw everyone had to slow down because the car turned off suddenly without indicating. Now on the Himalayan, yes, it's a 411cc, 25 horsepower single. Catching back up with the traffic would be painful. The Himalayan kind of struggles to keep up with modern traffic, or catch up with modern traffic. This bike, there's no such issue. You just wind that throttle back and you catch up. Riding this bike has kind of put me off the Himalayan a little bit in terms of a road machine, because yes, I want to use Himalayan off-road, but to get to the off-road bits I'll have to travel on-road. And yes, you could rewire your brain to go slow and smell the roses while riding, but not be able to keep up with traffic if it accelerates. That will, I think, grate on me long term if I had a Himalayan. The bikes surprised me a bit like the Himalayan did. I mean, well done Royal Enfield, they've come out with some decent bikes. Got no issues with the performance side of things. I've got almost no issues with the handling side, apart from this, like I said, this potential, and I think it's unfair to call it potential because I don't think it will get unstable. It's just willing to wobble if you provoke it, but the wobble doesn't get any worse if you stop provoking it. Still trying to figure that one out, but for a budget bike built in India, I am more than impressed. The lack of electronic toys means you just concentrate more on the ride and concentrate more on the road, and maybe gives you the opportunity to add features or bits to the bike that you want to see in your own time and at your own budget. Second date? Definitely. I'd have another go on this any day. So I think that about sums it up, folks. See you down there in the comments if you've owned one of these, or if you're looking at buying one of these. Be happy to hear from you and see what you think. If there's anything you think I've missed about the bike, do please let me know. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please press that like button. It helps the channel, and it'll help it even more if you press subscribe. If you like bike reviews and vlogs and things of that nature, have a little look around on my channel and see what else I get up to, see if you like it. So hopefully I'll see you and you'll see me in another video. Until then, take care, ta-ra.